Welcome to Loan Officer Breakfast Club, everybody. Good morning. It is July 9th, 2025, my friends. It is Flux Capacitor Day, and we're going to get into that right about, I don't know, now. That's right, my friends. Flux Capacitor Wednesday. We're going to figure out how much time is left in the year for us to absolutely exercise our mortgage dominance in our market area and win, 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 baby. Glad to have everybody here. Oh, let's see. Who do we got floating around? Maureen Davidson. Good morning, Maureen. Hi, how are you? Good to see you here. Yeah, give you a cheer. All right, Nick Nicholas, of course, is in the house. What's going on, Nick? Good to have you here as well. You know, hey, have you guys heard about this new thing? Steve, I'm just wondering if you heard about this. Chris.
Tell me.
Chris. Steve and Chris.
I got it. Tell me.
Not to exclude the other people, just I thought these guys might know about this. Okay,
I'm always in the know. Kristen keeps me in the know, bro.
This is really interesting stuff. So, you know how like computers, the way that they work, they have a processing unit and they have memory, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And they're not in the same chip; they're separate. And so they always to calculate things for the computer to work, it goes from the processor to memory, grabs information, brings it in, processes it, shoves it back to memory. And it's this constant back and forth between the processor and the memory, right?
All right.
Well, that's why your computers get hot. Okay, and that's why they heat up. It's because there's this constant flow of information going back and forth, and it heats these things up, and and it's somewhat inefficient because it's not all housed in one place. You got stuff over here and processing over there. So, but even with all those inefficiencies, golly, things are pretty fast, right? So,
right.
There's this new thing. I don't know if you guys heard about this, Chris. I don't know if you heard about this. Instead of electronics, it's called spintronics. Have you heard of it?
No,
I have not heard of it.
Okay, so here's how it works. So the electron, apparently, the electrons themselves are spinning, okay? And apparently, they have a north and south polarization in the electron itself, okay? So instead of moving an electron from one place to the other, they're now just flipping it. So they're just, instead of moving it, they're flipping it from, one charge on the top, like positive on the top, negative on the bottom, whatever. The poles, right. Yeah, they flip it. They just flip it. So now it doesn't have to move. It just flips, right?
Wow.
So they're like, this changes everything. Like you could do everything in one chip. Like you wouldn't have to have the extra chips or anything like that. It goes infinitely faster because it doesn't have to move or anything. It just changes its status, changes its thing. And they're saying like that, if that comes to be here relatively quick, combined with AI, right? And being able to compute things quickly, they're saying it's a big game changer. Like it's out of this world. I just thought it was interesting.
Wow. So what I learned there was Frank Garay is hot because he's always thinking.
and he's flipping his poles all the time.
Well, there's a big problem with the memory chip.
Did you know,
Frank Garay?
Did you know that the Earth poles flip?
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah, and it's in the process of doing that even as we speak. That magnetic north, is moving south, and I can't remember how many miles per year. Like it was, it's not insignificant. I mean, this takes like 1,000 years or maybe 100,000 years or something like that. It takes a long time. But it's moving faster than I would have thought. Somebody told me about that. I went, yeah, whatever. And I Googled it and ChatGPT'd it, and come to find out it's a real thing. And when that happens, my GPS is going to I'm trying to go to visit Chris in Canada, and I'm going to be in Argentina or something.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah, they have to adjust for that stuff, I think. Whatever.
But you know what's really weird, man?
What, man?
It is like quantum physics.
Yeah.
Where they get two electrons that are connected to each other, they separate them like 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And when one flips, the other flips.
Right.
It's faster than the speed of light.
Yes.
And so they don't know how these things are talking to each other, how one knows one's one way and one's the other way, but it happens instantaneously.
Yeah.
And so there's zero lag time. They cannot figure out how in the world these things are communicating with each other. Some wild stuff, man.
Well, there's you got the quantum computers that'll figure out in like 5 seconds what it would take a normal computer a billion years to figure out, or
It's
something.
because there's no
like
travel
that.
time. There's zero travel time.
Yeah, and it can compute so much faster. So
Crazy.
wow.
And they
The
get that.
thing,
As if hundreds of us can be here in all 50 states talking on a video camera is not fascinating enough. No, we have to push the envelope. It's like
right.
it's. I was driving the other day. We're up here in North Carolina. I was driving around, and I just thought we're on some country roads out in the middle of nowhere. And actually, we hit because of all the rain, the flooding they had up here. We hit a place I wasn't comfortable taking my Tesla. If I was in the Jeep, it'd be one thing, or the good old Ford pickup truck would be another. But I'm in a something that apparently doesn't like water. And so I go to turn around, and before we'd have to get out the maps and where do we go here, and I just take me to my destination, but not on this road.
Yeah.
Around and took me away. It's just fascinating how and that becomes normal now. Like that's like
you remember you used to have that map key, like a key map book. You'd have to keep with you.
What was it called? It was
a key map.
Randy McNally.
Any city you go into, you'd have to
Randy McNally wore them things out.
Oh man. In our home, we called it the thing that starts the arguments.
So true. No, there was a different one that had like it wasn't Rand McNally.
Thomas Guide.
Thomas
Guide.
That's what it was. Thomas Guide. Oh, by the way, Brandon Barnum's here. He's our chat. Wow, good stuff. The things you learn at Breakfast Club.
So what are we doing today?
Well, before we get there, Carl, the most important thing is, Kristen, load the flux capacitor. It's Flux Capacitor Wednesday, my friends. So, we're going to figure out how much time is left in the year. There it is. Flux Capacitor is in. I'm going to give us the dunk for that. Flux Capacitor is there. We've got 46% left of the year.
Nice.
Wow.
46%.
Wow.
So I've gone below 50.
Wow.
Yeah, 46%. With the 4 in the front, doesn't it feel a little more like, kind of.
You know what that tells me?
Hmm.
That tells me if I want to do one of Steve's boot camps and get the results this year, like right about now would be the time to do that if I haven't done that. That's what that tells me.
I would say so.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me.
Yeah,
I would start to feel senses of urgency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it always the last half of the year is stronger? It seems to be that it's like that extra little push where you get that momentum.
Hey, you know what I think it is? I think it's the oh crap moment where it's like, oh yeah, sometimes we procrastinate and then it's like, oh yeah, there ain't no more.
Or we think something's going to come around and it's going to like some magic bean will come around and it'll just magically like the Fed's going to decrease the rate to -4 and that's what you pay today. I do that too. Like trust me, I do. And then it's like when we start getting past the halfway point, it's like, whoa, I guess there's no rescue helicopter. I better start paddling the boat.
Right. Yeah, I better make the calls. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think about it too, okay, we got 46% of the year left, but you can kind of, I don't know. I'm just going to say, you can kind of toss November, December kind of to the side a little bit there. There's a lot of time off in those two months. So really you could take another, 5% off of that or so. I don't know.
Hey, can I do a real quick poll? Two seconds.
Well, absolutely, Mr. White. You could do it. I will give you permission.
2 seconds. Hey, just put in, and this is not like just put in the chat when you do a single bureau soft pull, single bureau soft pull. What are you paying for that? I'm doing a presentation and I got conflicting numbers. And we get things in a bundle, so we might get things a little cheaper than some. So like, what are you paying for? I just want to get accurate information. So, what do you pull? What do you charge for single bureau soft pull? Single bureau soft pull. Okay. All right, cool.
It's about $20.
Kind of some 90,
15.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that
35 for all
Betsy,
three,
I
30.
don't think that's a.
Okay. All right. That just gives me 50, 60. Okay, cool. No charge for salt. Well, somebody's paying 13.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Okie dokie. So you know what we're doing today, Carl?
Tell me.
We're going to talk about how to actually profit from realtor presentations.
It's a profit thing.
It's a profit thing. Right. We're going to see how to actually profit. But before we do.
Dude, there's this dude that's amazing at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a dude that's amazing at it. The dude's name is Brandon. Dude, you should have him on here.
I think we will. Yeah. So
Amazing.
thank you for the segue, Carl. If you're getting value from this already, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps more loan officers find content that actually makes a difference. And hey, if staying ahead of the market and learning what's really working in our industry matters to you, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss another episode. We read every comment, so drop your thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you and know what's working or what you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you here next time. Yeah, so we do have Brandon Barnum here. Look, first of all, in the chat, Realtor presentations, are you a fan? Yes or no? I'd like to know if you're a fan. Yes or no? Say yes or no. And the thing about Realtor presentations is, yeah, I see a lot of yeses. The thing about Realtor presentations is we doing them is cool because, you know, we've all done them. It's nice to be able to get in front of a group of real estate agents, you know, do a presentation, but profiting from that is a completely different animal. We're going to talk about that in a little bit of detail here. But even before that, it's having something to present that's meaningful, that is, you know, going to draw them in to the presentation is probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. We've had Brandon Barnum on before. He's the CEO of Raving Referrals, and essentially his company certifies loan originators to become trainers of the Raving Referrals program, which is a presentation that is given to real estate agents, which is very thorough, very comprehensive. It's extremely cool. Brandon, just before we roll into, you know, our part of this, is which is going to be how do we profit from these things, right? Tell us just briefly about what you guys do at Raving Referrals, and then you were on before. You've picked up some new certified trainers. Maybe you could shout out the new certified trainers that you picked up since the last time you were here.
Yeah, you happy to. And I see a couple of them are here on the call.
Oh,
So
cool.
Charlie Brown up in Salt Lake City and Drew
Nice.
Waterfall in Albuquerque are here on the call. We've got a few others too as well. So good morning, guys.
Right on.
Way to start off the morning together. But yeah, so what we're doing is we've created a really awesome presentation. It's a 2-hour class, Raving Referrals for Real Estate Agents. We give the trainers everything that they need to be able to fill the room and present the course. And the beauty is that the realtors rate it a 9.5 out of 10. So at the end of every class, every trainer has their own QR code. It's the last slide that you do, and every agent that's in the room scans the QR code so that they can fill out the survey so they can get some free stuff. And then what we do is we give a little ethical bribe. So if they refer 3 other agents, we give them a free copy of the Raving Referrals for Real Estate Agents book. So the beauty is you've got a book that goes along with the course, and that way after the class, you're able to sit down with the agents, walk them through the training, and really coach them up on how to build their referral partnerships and really get more raving referrals. And for every person that's in your class, on average, you get 1.1 referrals to other agents. And so it helps fill the funnel. Plus, on average, 33% of the people that are in the class request that you come train it at their organization. So one class leads to many other classes, and it's incredible content. It's a great time, and there's nothing better than having a captive audience of real estate agents that you're there with for 2 hours so that you really build rapport. They get to know you, get a sense of what you're all about, who you are. And, you know, we say your vibe attracts your tribe. And so as you really shine in front of the stage, as you know, Frank, you attract a bunch of people that want to have a conversation. And now instead of chasing after realtors, they're chasing after you.
Hey, Brandon, I got a question.
Yeah, Frank.
What's the I'm the better looking one. What's the what do you find is the main reason why? Look, we all know that doing presentations, getting in front of people, students want to bring the teacher an apple in the loan officer business. That's referrals, right? It's just the way it works in all cultures, right? And we all know that. What do you think holds most loan officers back from doing presentations? Like, what's the one thing holding them back, and how do you help people overcome that?
I think there's two things. I think one is they don't necessarily have a great presentation because you don't want to just talk about, programs and pricing. You're saying the same thing as everyone else. So you need something unique, and that's one of the things that we give them as turnkey content. And then I think the other thing that holds people back is they don't know how to fill the room. That's what I keep hearing as I'm having conversations with LOs, and they're like, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I haven't really had the content to teach, and I don't know how to get them in the room. So those are the two things that we hear on a regular basis, Carl.
Those are the two. Those are two, those are the two hardest things to do by far. But when you know how, it changes everything. Um, is there any particular topic for meetings that seems to like pull better than others?
Well, I mean, we're teaching about referrals, but one of the biggest pain points that we know real estate agents have is they give out a ton of referrals and they don't get many back. So, one of the things that we do is teach them how to turn their vendors into proactive partners, people that are actually promoting, recommending, and referring the real estate agent consistently. It's one of the agent's biggest pain points. So when you can address their pain point, and it just helps them in a big way. The other thing is they feel like they know about referrals until they get in the class. One of the first things we start with is a referral score quiz. And out of 100 possible points, they self-score themselves. And the average score is 37 out of 100.
Wow.
So agents come in thinking they know a lot about referrals. And then immediately in the first like 20 minutes of the class, they're like, oh man, I suck at this. I need help. And now they're leaning forward and captivated by everything that you're saying.
Good stuff, huh? It's great stuff, man. I tell you, let's throw that. We want to get the link into the chat. It's Jen, can you drop it in there? It's ravingreferrals.com/, is it trainers? Is that what it
Trainer,
is?
singular.
Trainer, singular. So ravingreferrals.com/trainer. Guys, if you use the code LOBC, you get extra stuff too. You get some extra stuff if you decide to become a certified trainer. And before we move on, Brandon, thanks for being here and just pointing out. Did you already say the names of the people that are here?
Well, I know Charlie Brown and Drew Waterfall are here. I saw them
Yeah.
earlier. I'm not sure if Rick Ward, and then we have Scott and Brandy Richardson also, who joined us from Hill Country, Texas, just not far away from the epicenter last week. So I reached out to Scott after it happened, and he says they're doing just fine, and it
They're
didn't
okay.
impact them or their church. But yeah, we're excited about those four. We've got several others, a few dozen others that are going through the application process and the interviews right now. So
Yeah.
we'll have lots of other LOBC members on the crew.
And then it's kind of geographically limited, right? So you're not just like, you can't have 50 certified trainers in Dallas, Texas or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're not going to have a super, huge number in each area. We really focus on having those LOs in an area. But it's about the relationships more than the geography. It's the relationships that matter. What we've been finding is, we'll have agents, LOs that'll have a relationship, whether it's a title company. We're getting a lot of home inspection companies will fill the room for you because they're after the same thing. They want to add value to realtors. So when you focus on partnering with other professionals that are calling on real estate agents all day long, they've got the relationships. And now we turn it into a raving referral where they're hosting an event just for their clients and agents that they've been building relationships with. And nothing better than teeing you up with a room full of realtors.
Great stuff. Okay, so it's ravingreferrals.com/trainer if you want to learn more, see about becoming a certified trainer. So, hey, man, thanks, Brandon. Was glad to have you on here because
Hey, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, what do you find? Dude, I'd love to do a podcast with you. I've got like literally a list of questions here. What do you find? But I'm only going to ask one more. What do you? Is there like a, I don't know, perfect, but like, is there an optimal size of crowd that I'm looking for? Like, like a crowd of 4 or 5, so we can be a little bit, business intimate, or, if I get 500, then I got this big, huge thing, but it's hard to connect with all of them. Like what do you find is the sweet spot?
Well, so we teach quality over quantity. You
100%.
can have one agent that gives you all the business that you need, right? So it's really about being in front of the right people.
Yeah.
But personally, I love big rooms. So, we have some LOs that'll teach in front of a room of 75. Others are doing 20. We have some people that are doing it as a webinar style. And then what happens is usually when you give a class, people are asking you to come in. So then you're doing individual presentations into a broker's meeting.
Yeah, I like that.
Love that.
Hey, and you wanted to ask, so it's not my question, Frank, it's Yolanda. It's a great question. Do you find is the meetings over Zoom an option? And if so, do they work kind of as approaching as well? Certainly easier, or is it easier to put butts in chairs,
Yeah.
so to speak? What's your recommendation on that?
My recommendation is always face to face is better. You're never going to have the same emotional connection and really be able to build that rapport online as you will in person. But I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, if I've got an audience online, I'm happy to show up and share the message
Mhm.
and attract people into relationships. And then you do the one-on-one after the fact.
I've always equated this business of salesmanship kind of in the dating. I always think of it in that way. And like if I was trying to date the handsome Mr. Kyles, a Zoom probably wouldn't be near as well as
No, you better come see me face to face.
the face to face,
That's
right? So
right.
no,
So
really,
I can lean
I
in.
think the Zoom can work. I 100% think it can work.
Sure.
But like I feel a connection, to a lot of the people here that frankly I've never met. But there's nothing like we're doing an event here coming up in a couple of weeks. There's nothing like that, face to face.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
so one's pretty good, but the others, the other to me it's kind of like what's that near beer? Yeah, near beer. It's okay, but there's nothing like a good blue moon. So
Near beer. That's
yeah,
an old term too. We went from the Flying Nun yesterday to near beer today.
yeah. I'll see where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the only kind of see the Flying Nun had near beer. That's why she could fly. Otherwise, the FAA
All
wouldn't allow
right.
it. So anyway, all right. Thanks,
Like
Frank.
you
Good
did there.
stuff, man.
My
Thanks,
pleasure.
Carl. Hey, Brandon, thanks so much, man. Again, guys, you want to learn more about Raving Referrals, go to ravingreferrals.com/trainer. Check it out. We've already got some people getting certified from the group already. More are lined up to get it done as well. It's a great, great thing to get under your belt and have in your toolbox to be able to do these presentations because it just grows on its own. That's a really unique thing about Brandon's program. It just doesn't, it's not a one and done. It's a one that leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. So thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that, man. So
Thanks,
much,
Frank.
man. All right.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, so now let's talk about this because this is the big deal. Is even if we get the realtor presentation going on, the other side of the coin is, man, we have to profit from it. Now, I want to bring up a couple things here. Is look, whenever you do a presentation, especially for a group of realtors, anytime you do and put in the chat if this has ever happened to you. You do a presentation, and then right after the class, people come up to you and want to start talking to you.
Yep.
Right? They want to start talking to you. They want to engage with you, trade cards, that kind of a thing. It usually winds up happening. And I'll say this too, team, that sometimes you're going to get that person to come up and talk to you, trade cards, who actually has a deal, and you get a deal from that person. That certainly does happen. So you could say that these meetings are profitable just on the off chance that someone who you engage with or engages with you happens to have a deal, happens to pass it to you, and you profit from that. But you could go deeper on this, right? You can go way deeper on this and not only profit from the one-off person who happened to like you at that moment and happened to have a deal, who traded cards with you, to profiting in a long-term way. And that's what we wanted to go over here real quick. Put in the chat, how do you think you get that done? And I know some people know already, but how do you get that done? How do you go from realtor presentation to long-term relationship? How do you do that? Somebody drop it in the chat. Steve, let's talk about it a little bit. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a great question. Carl, what do you like? What are some of the things you're looking for in the presentations you're doing?
So in the presentation I'm doing to get a connection at the end.
Long-term relationship. So you're going to be in front of a handful of agents. What are you doing to prep ahead of time? And then what are you doing either during or after it?
Well, so and I'm not gonna play like I know as much as Brandon does about this topic, because he does fantastic presentations, right? But for me, it's always like it's always identify the pain, twist the knife, provide a solution.
Mm,
And so look, we all have pain. It's just
mm.
sometimes we don't want to look at it, or we think, well,
Yeah.
the rates are up, nobody's buying, people aren't selling their houses these days, the market's shrinking. Loan officer Larry's not doing good, so it's okay if I'm doing good too. And all that's crap. Like that's
Mm,
the we're in charge of writing our own paycheck. It's a wonderful career that we have.
mhm,
And so what I do, even to myself, is
mm.
identify, all right, Carl, where is your real pain? Like, where's the real problem here? Let's get honest, and grab a mirror. Where's the problem here? And then if I'm talking to my dear friend, Miss Moody, and I say, all right, here's her issue. There's a thing, and it sounds uncool, but it's not. It's called twisting the knife. And
Mhm.
what that means is finding out where she could benefit from something, and we all could, even the greats like like Sue, we can all benefit from something. And so then I kind of go into like, gee, I hear what you're saying about loan. Not that Sue would say this, right? But just, I shouldn't have
Right.
picked on you, Sue. It was a horrible example. But like, if Sue would say, yeah, but did you see what loan officer Larry's doing?
Mhm.
I did, but did you see what Sharon Wolford's doing? Did you see
Right.
what Sarah Cox is doing? It's always these ladies. Why is that? But did you see what? And so that's kind of like a little bit of in a cool way, twisting the knife, and then I provide a solution.
Hey, thanks for enjoying this Loan Officer Breakfast Club YouTube video. If you are into industry news, if you like to keep up with what's going on within the mortgage and real estate industry, you might not be aware of this, but you can get free news snippets every single day by going to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. In the top nav bar, you'll see in the news. Click it, daily, fresh news about the mortgage and real estate industry. There's even loan officer perspective and realtor perspective on each news story that you can make use of in your marketing. So enjoy loanofficerbreakfastclub.com/in the news.
So kind of here's what I got. Here's how it benefits you. Here's what you need to do next.
Man, I love
So
it.
so that's what you just got to be careful on twisting the knife. Usually I twist the knife by say, Ron, you okay with that? Fred,
Mhm.
you
Does that bother you?
yeah, does that bother you as much as it kind of bothered me that's happening to you right now? Like, dude,
Mm.
you're so worthy. You know, and by the way, none of that's manipulation because it's always true. Like
Right.
if I think somebody's a jerk, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say you're the nicest person ever. You're worthy of so much more business. They have a different issue they need to work on.
So then how do you take them to a long-term relationship? So let's and I hope everybody wrote that down. Identify the pain, twist the knife, provide a solution. And then once you've done that, what does it look like afterwards in an ongoing pursuit for a working relationship?
Well,
It, it,
I was going to jump in real quick and just say, I mean, really the main thing too, guys, isn't wouldn't you agree though, as we've talked about this before, is like if I want to move to a long-term relationship, I want to make sure I'm trying to move to a long-term relationship with the right person.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
so hey, Brandon, I got a question. When people come in to register, when people attend the classes that you guys
Right.
provide, do you have like some sort of cool registration process for the attendees so that
Yep.
the loan officer can kind of preview who's registered and kind
Yeah.
of look up their numbers before they show up?
We do, Frank. Actually, this is new since we came on the class last time. We built out individual landing pages for every individual trainer's class.
Mm,
So you have a dedicated landing page, registration page for your specific class, and that way you get all the registration information before the class even comes.
great. So that's outstanding because now
You can look
we
up,
have an
have somebody look up who's going to be there and see who the producers are and make sure you
right.
stay focused on the producers. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then the follow up, a lot of people said follow up is the key. True. Absolutely true. But really, if we're going to get profitable with these things, we got to follow up with the right people.
That's
Hey,
right.
Brandon, what are some of the things you guys are doing to follow up? So you have an event. What does the follow up look like?
Yeah, so there's some automated follow-up that happens afterwards. First of
Yeah.
all, what we do is we give the loan officer, the certified trainer, all the contact information and all the survey results from
Yeah.
their class. And that way they know who's rated at a 5 out of 5. They've got the comments on what was most impactful for the individual agent in the class. And
Wow.
now you get to hone in and really focus on whatever was important for them, whatever landed for them. So that's really the key is it's not about what you think, it's what about what they think, right?
Yeah.
Find that the pain, as Carl was saying, that pain comes at the beginning. Once you identify the pain point, what I teach the trainers to do is when you do that follow-up call, ask them, hey, thanks so much. I see you rated it a 10 out of 10. What did you find most impactful? And now you get them talking about where they found the value. It takes them back to the class and helps them feel that value that you've added to that individual agent.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize you had all that going on. That's kick butt. Because now imagine having that conversation. So you've got the registrants' information, you've got their feedback on it, you know who the top producers are in that bunch. Now you can reach out to those people specifically and talk about what they enjoyed about it and start to build that relationship that way. I think it's pretty good. I think that's what makes them profitable. I mean, that, if we're just going to get down to brass tacks, I think that's what really does it is. And I learned that all here.
The money's in the follow-up.
From Carl. It's with the right people.
You got to follow up.
And
Well, the other
right
thing I
people.
suggest is when you know the numbers in advance, when you know you've got a top producer in your audience, call them out, right? Incorporate them into the class and ask questions, right? Because we want to make this class as interactive as possible. The more engaged people are, the more value they receive, and the more value you get to add to them. So if you know you've got a couple top producers that are in the class, ask them questions. Hey, Jenny, I see you're over there. Let me ask you a quick question, right? And now you've got them engaged and they're talking actively, and now you've built relationship with them one-on-one, even though there might be 50 people in the room.
That's brilliant.
Let me tell you a sneaky little trick that we do.
Let's do it. Tell them.
Here's a sneaky little trick that we do. So when we do events, we look up everybody's production before they show up. And then we hand out name tags. And if your name tag is, and we handwrite them. This is not our loan officer training, but this is for our real estate agents. So we handwrite the name tags. If your name is written in script, you're a qualified high producing agent. If your name is printed, then you're just getting started, or lower producer, or not a full timer. And that way, when people come up and ask us questions and during the breaks, and when we're calling on people in the crowd, like what you're saying is Brandon, we only call on the script people and not the print people, because the problem with calling on a print person. So what do you think about that? Insert in print person's name.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's buying, the market's not moving. And boy, it's hard to recover from that when somebody does that.
Yeah.
Which, like here, we bring up Sharon and we bring up Sue and Marty and, a good number of Kelly and a good number of people here. And it's because I kind of know, at least I might not know what the answer, but I know the vibe. And Sharon and Vince would never, and Victoria would never say something like they might talk about a challenge they have, but like when I hear Vince talk about a challenge, it's like, all right, how can I overcome this? Not, all right, there's no need to even go down that rabbit hole because this isn't going to work because nobody's buying right now. That would never come out of Vince's mouth. Yep. And so that's a little sneaky trick that we do.
I love it. Good stuff. I think today was
brilliant, Carl. Plus, those top producers love to tell their stories, right?
Right.
Sure.
They got a lot to say. They got a lot to say.
They like to talk. Yeah, they like to be in the spotlight, right? Who doesn't, right?
Who doesn't?
So, yeah. So and when you know who they
if
are,
I'm top, I want my name on the leaderboard. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah, yeah. To get that acknowledgement in the class, now you're building rapport with them, and they don't even know it, but you are. You're building rapport with them right away,
and they're helping you with the content.
That's right.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Brandon's a smart dude, man. Yeah.
Great day. Good stuff. All right, man. Well, today is Wednesday. Who's going to share with us what we do today on our theme days? Let's see. Who do we pick? I don't know.
Have we heard from Kelly lately?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have either.
Which is really odd.
And see, I already know what's going to come out of her. I know the vibe that's going to come out of her from her vocal cords, because she's an upbeat, got it going on kind of person. So, Kelly, what are we doing on Wednesday? Miss Corrier.
Right. I didn't know if it was me or the other Kelly.
No. And nothing against the other Kelly. You're just the one that's on my first screen here.
Today is past client database.
What do we do?
We're calling them up, thanking them for the business in the past, and seeing if they have any friends, family, or coworkers that are looking to buy, sell, or refi that we can help out.
God, that sounds way too easy, Kelly. I'm not buying it. It's got to be more complicated than that.
It only always works. Yeah.
It's really easy. Probably the fastest way to get a deal right now.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's it, man. Who's in? Who's in?
Yeah.
Who's calling past clients today? Who's calling Sphere of Influence? All right, good
do it.
stuff. Hey, man, Brandon Barnum, always a pleasure. Appreciate you, brother, so much. Guys, realtor presentations, they're definitely awesome. They can definitely be profitable. You just got to know how to do them. Make sure we're finding out who those top producers are and make sure we're following it properly. But of course, most of all, make sure you got a good class, man. Make sure you got a good presentation. Go to ravingreferrals.com/trainer. Become a certified trainer of the course in your local area and kick butt. You guys have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow. Adios.
See you.
Great day, everybody.